Times in America right now are getting tougher. People everywhere are feeling financial strain, and sadly, people are facing foreclosure. But that's why we're here. This is the Short Sale Podcast. Our passion is to spread awareness across the country to families who are struggling to make their mortgage payments. We've been handling short sales since 2007. Let's learn some stuff and let's have some fun. Welcome to the Short Sale Podcast. And now your host, Heather J. Keller.
Welcome, everyone, to the Short Sale Podcast. I'm your host, Heather Keller. I'm super excited. This is our very first episode of the Short Sale Podcast. So just a little bit of a background. I had a radio show here in Chicagoland. It did very well. It was providing lots of education and background to homeowners across the Chicagoland area when they are struggling and behind on their mortgage. However, we have branched out. So our main goal with the Short Sale Podcast is to provide value to homeowners across the United States. In fact, my company, Blueprint Short Sales, has partners across the United States that have been properly trained to handle your situation. So really important, if you're seeing this and you are a homeowner, please watch it because I have a special guest here today and I'm going to introduce him here in a second. But the two main goals for the Short Sale Podcast is one, the homeowner. And so if you're a homeowner across the United States that are struggling to make your mortgage payments, maybe you have equity in your home, maybe you don't have equity. It is our job to help you come up with a game plan. That is what we say, to help you make the best informed decision moving forward for you and your family. Or second reason why we have the Short Sale Podcast is to also educate agents. So there's a ton of real estate agents across the country who may be looking to truly help homeowners move on to the next chapter of their lives. And so we're here to help support you. We're here to educate you, provide you with the knowledge so that you can properly help these homeowners move on to the next chapter of their lives. So welcome, episode 1 of the Short Sale Podcast. We are calling it Finding a Rental After Bankruptcy and Short Sale. And so for the last few years, I have a rental agent on my team here in Chicagoland. His name is Shaun. And so I wanted to bring Shaun on because it's so important to, one, let homeowners know that, yes, you can find rentals after bankruptcy and short sale, and Shaun specializes in that. And two, for all the agents inside of my Blueprint network or maybe outside that are looking to join our network, here's what you can do to help these homeowners. So welcome, Shaun. Thanks for being on my podcast. I know this is a little bit different. Shaun was on many of my shows in the Real Talk Elgin when I had my radio show. So welcome. I would love for you to just tell the viewers a little bit about your background, maybe why you love helping these homeowners when they're struggling. So introduce yourself. And then we have tons of questions that came in for the podcast. And so we're going to go over some of those questions.
Thank you, Heather, for having me here. It's great. My name is Shaun Israel, and I'm with Grandview Realty. I've been with the realty company for approximately 6 months. And before that, I was with Keller Williams for approximately 3.5 years. Been great with both companies. I live in Geneva, Illinois with my wife and our 3 kids. Been living in Geneva for about, I believe, 10 years or so. And with our 2 dogs, and it's been a great area. Been dealing with rentals, as Heather told you, for the last 4 to 5 years. I specialize in rentals. I deal with all kinds of situations, and it's been great dealing with some of the clients that we have. Very interesting. I'm happy to help them all out as best as I can.
Yeah. So Shaun, like I said, has been on my team for quite some time. So let's just start actually with maybe helping the real estate agents inside of my network or across the country, since we kind of are already talking about that. So how does it actually work? So essentially, my team is handling either the equity sale. So that would be someone who is behind on their mortgage and needs help finding a rental, but still has that equity, or a full-blown short sale. So Shaun comes into the picture regardless. And so there's a certain part of the stage where I bring Shaun in, and we try to make the process really easy for our clients.
As best as possible.
As easy as possible. We know
yes.
come up. And so Shaun comes in and, I just let him handle everything. So for the agents out there, I don't actually ask for like a referral fee or any of that. I just know Shaun is there. He's always been able to get our clients into something. I think the main thing that we stress, Shaun, is like, hey, this is temporary. The whole
Yeah.
goal is to just get their name off of the title of the property so they can move on to the next chapter. Get into a rental for a year. They could always come back to Shaun later on and upgrade. So we had some questions come in from the partners inside of my community. And so they say, inventory's low. How do you go about that? So we'll answer that question in a second. So when inventory's low, do you have other avenues of finding rentals? And then what if someone doesn't have a job? How do you go about that? So let's start with those two questions. I would love to know your process and any tips you can give the real estate agents inside of the Blueprint community.
Yeah, with the inventories at the levels that we are at, it's kind of difficult finding places. There are places out there. So the first step is I would submit a lease into the other agent and we could work it out from there. Now, let me backtrack a little bit. Sorry. I would first call up the agent, find out if there are any applications on the property, if the property is still available. If there are applications on the property, for example, what I would do a couple things. I would either offer them a longer lease. Usually the leases are about a year out. I would go for maybe a 2-year lease, possibly. Landlords and owners, they like to have longer leases with good tenants. They don't like to keep, every 9-10 months trying to look for a new tenant. Second of all, I would probably, if possible on our end, maybe offer them an extra months of security deposit or prepay a few months. I've had some applications I was going up against and they were offering like a full year up front, which is like, oh my God. And they've got excellent credit. And it's like you figure with excellent credit and paying up a full year's up front, you might as well just purchase a house. But everyone has their own reason why they're renting for a year. Maybe they're building a house, maybe not. But yeah, we could do that. Yeah, basically offering more money up front, offering also a higher rent price, which the rent prices are kind of high as it is now. So for example, on the $2,000 a month rent, maybe offer them an extra $50 to start with and give them that kind of incentive. And we hope for the best. Regarding like credit and income, we go through that very carefully. Credit is not much of an issue. Bankruptcies, short sales, foreclosures, judgments. Believe it or not, I can get around all that with an actual explanation email from my clients explaining what happened and why it happened. I'm not saying it's 100% guaranteed that will work, but the more information and documents you supply to the owner and the landlord on your client, the better off you'll be. Because, if you don't supply them anything and the first thing they see is a low credit score, they're just going to say, hey, you know what? We're not going to take you guys. It's a credit risk and everything else. So the more information you can supply to them, the better off you'll be through the other agent and through the owner.
Yeah, so I love that. And so that's why I absolutely love Shaun, because I know when I say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm going to connect you with Shaun now. The great thing, there's and this may vary throughout the United States, and I'm not 100% sure, but when Shaun comes into the picture, my sellers do not have to pay Shaun. So the landlord, they end up paying you. Is that correct, Shaun?
Correct. The landlord or the owner, they pay the commission for both sides. They pay it on our side and then they pay it on their side also for the agent. So my client, they basically get our service. I don't like to use for free, but there's no charge for them. And we basically work our butts off to get them into a property sooner than later. I also, just to stress what you said before, our clients have to understand this is a temporary situation. Some of the people I've been dealing with, they think, oh, they're stuck there for a year. That's like a whole century to them. But, it's 9-10 months. And if something else comes along better afterwards and the inventory opens up more, we could go look for other properties. They're not locked into like a 10-year lease. It's a 1-year lease to start with. And, maybe they'll like it after all. It's new changes for them when they in their houses for a long time. And all of a sudden they have to move to a rental, which is kind of weird for them because it's not their property. And things that they could do with their property they can't do with a rental. And they might not feel as comfortable calling it home versus where they were at before. So we try just to make it easy for them and just explain them everything what's going on, with the rental.
Yeah, so I like that. And I love when you use the word temporary because
it's temporary,
to my clients, you're right. A lot of these people have been in these houses for a very, very long time. You don't want to get foreclosed on, whether you have that equity or you don't. You do not want to get foreclosed on. But when you're in that situation, you really have to find the right professional team who understands the ins and outs of all of this. And so that's why a lot of attorneys, a lot of people in Chicagoland, they love to use my team because we handle everything from start to finish. And that includes Shaun. And so any agents that are inside of my network that are watching this or going to watch it later, it is very important to connect either with Shaun. I'd be happy to, I'll talk to him, but he really has a good system. And what do I stress all the time? Systems are good. So like the short sales, Shaun is evaluating these clients up front. What is their situation? Did they have a bankruptcy? When is their short sale closing? Shaun and I are communicating all the time. What are the deadlines? And so really, Shaun, you're building the cake, so to speak, with the landlords to say, hey, this is the situation. And kind of like the way the market is now, you may have to offer more. What is going to your rental offer stand out, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, so there's other ways, and definitely get that letter of explanation or that email that you're speaking of.
Yeah, because a lot of landlords, they just, a big issue that I have with most of these agents and landlords is you give them a credit score of 700 and sometimes they have missed payments, but they don't care about the credit report itself. They care about the number. And believe me, I found this out more often than not. There's more into a credit score number than not. People can have a low credit score because of medical bills. And that's one of the bigger things I've been finding on credit reports are medical bills. Everyone has medical bills. You can't get away from that. And if they stay on your credit for a while, it's going to hit your credit score. But you could be current with everything else. So landlords and owners, they need to evaluate the situation different when they look at these credit reports, that there's more to the credit score number than what it looks like on paper. So
what if someone, and I'm not sure that this has happened to us, because I always tell people look, if they're in a short sale situation, I'm always stressing, hey, come up with your next plan. So if you don't have a job, you got to get one. I always tell people, look, you have to be out of this house. So just for everyone listening, they, in a short sale situation, probably even an equity sale, they're going to have to be out of the house prior. So if you don't have a job, go stay with family or something. We have to come up with a game plan now. But what if someone comes to you and doesn't have a job? I'm not sure we've come across that situation before, but if they don't have a job, then more than likely a landlord is not going to look at their application, correct?
Correct. But there's one exception you can do with the person that's unemployed. I think I came across it maybe once doing the rentals. It's called a cosigner. So a cosigner will cosign on for the lease, or you could get a guarantor that will guarantee that the rent in case they go into default. Usually they'll take a cosigner or a guarantor, as long as their credit is strong and they've got income, they're not going to put themselves in jeopardy of co-signing for someone and get an eviction or anything like that. They're going to be sure that the actual rent is being paid. So yeah, that would probably be the only issue, is if someone is unemployed. And even if they do have halfway decent credit, they still got to show some sort of income documentation of being employed. I have got through rentals where people were on maybe Social Security, a pension, SSI, not like a regular W-2 job or anything like that. That's considered income. That's not a problem. It's just when someone is totally unemployed and there's no income coming in. Yeah, the next step would probably more than likely have a co-signer to help out with the actual lease. I think that's happened only once before. We need to have a co-signer on because, they're not going to give you a year's lease if you have no ability to pay, which is an issue sometimes. I wish that wasn't the case, but it does happen periodically. People get into trouble, unemployed or whatever, and it's happened before. So yeah, we try and work them out as best as possible if we can.
What is a short sale? It's when a mortgage lender agrees to accept a mortgage payoff amount less than what's owed in order to facilitate a sale of the property by a financially distressed owner. The lender forgives the remaining balance of the loan. And that's what we do at Blueprint Short Sales. We've helped over 1,000 families avoid foreclosure, and we can do the same for you. Contact us by email at info@blueprintshortsales.com or call us at 224-407-2126.
So what is your biggest advice? We're going to move on in just a second to, okay, if there's homeowners listening, kind of the steps and stuff, but what is your biggest advice, Shaun, for real estate agents inside of my community who are dealing with the exact same type of situation that we are? What is your biggest advice to them? And then I'm going to also say that, and then we'll move on to the next thing.
I would say in this market, just keep striving and trying to get your clients into a place. And I think the biggest word I'm going to use is patience with dealing with the other side. Sometimes, the other agents might not be extremely knowledgeable on what can we get done on this deal. Same thing on a regular sale or anything like that. You have to actually give them some opinions of maybe let's try this, let's do this, suggest this to the owner and landlord. But yeah, it's just a lot of patience in this market. And it's just a lot of patience with your clients because it does get frustrating. I've had some clients, I had to go through like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 applications, and you still can't find anything. So we're doing the best we can. But I think what it comes down to is just keep looking forward and keep positive and just patience and just keep striving. Let's just keep working with each other and trying to get the rentals done.
Yeah, so that's great. Like I always use the word communication.
Yeah.
One of the big words that I use inside of our community. And so, like I said, Shaun and I are always communicating. He's so wonderful. He's never not been able to get our clients into something. It's been, quite the deadline sometimes. And some are easier than others. Shaun, I would say sometimes we laugh at these deals. But my biggest advice for anyone inside of the Blueprint community or anyone that's looking to get into our Blueprint community is have these conversations with your seller up front. The process may take 2 months, it may take 6 months, but the reality is they should start looking almost fairly quickly just because we don't know how long it's going to take for them to find a rental. It is a very wacky market. Eventually something has to give because we cannot continue like this, but patience is key, like Shaun said. I would highly suggest helping them find a rental at the beginning of your career. And then once you understand all of that, then you can delegate that task out to a rental agent like Shaun. And so we can help you find a rental agent. But Shaun has been wonderful. You may have to go through a couple, but yes, patience is key. And also making sure you have those conversations with your seller up front that they do have to be out. Usually we start looking for a rental once I know that the short sale is in and we're moving through the process, because we do want to give Shaun enough time.
Oh, yeah.
Your rental agent enough time to find a place, depending on your market. Inventory here in Chicagoland for rentals, would you say is low, Shaun?
Yes, some suburbs, there's no rentals available.
Okay.
So, yeah, and it also depends, a lot depends on the price range also. Within basically the $1,000 to $2,000 a month, it's very, very tight. A lot of ranch styles are going, people are looking more for one levels because a lot of the clients, like us, we're getting a little older and we don't want to climb up 50 flights of stairs. So, there has been a really big demand for ranches. I mean, even in rentals or even for buyers, there's not a lot of ranch styles out there. So, we try to accommodate them and go to the next stage. So hopefully the inventory will get better for sure.
Yeah. So inventories, and I've spoken to other partners inside the community, inventory is definitely low. So another conversation you could have is you may need to go outside of your area. The ultimate goal here is to not get foreclosed on. And so just building that team of right professionals for these sellers. So that way, again, they don't have to go here, and all over the place. It's really inside of our community. So awesome. Let's move on, Shaun, to answering some questions for some homeowners. And so, when these families own a house and they're going to go rent, what is the process? And we've talked about this before on my radio show, but from start to finish, generally, what do you do with your clients? So, like, I'm not really involved in that process. I just basically say, hey, Shaun, here is, Robin, she needs to find a rental. How do you go about it with the homeowner that's in like a short sale situation? How do you go about that from start to finish? So that way we can educate these sellers across the country. Hey, this is kind of the process for renting a home.
Well, at the beginning, I have to call them up and we'll talk a little bit about their current situation. Their house is in a short sale, foreclosure, or whatever it may be, and see if they have any kind of time frame that they need to actually be out and they need to look for a place. Next step is we go through all the requirements, what they might be looking for regarding, say, bedrooms, baths. Do they need a fenced yard? Location. Location's one of the bigger factors also we've been dealing with. Pets has been more than a bigger issue we've been dealing with because a lot of landlords, for some odd reason, they just they're not taking in pets like they used to. So, but we're trying to get around all that.
That's a big one, pets. Like, I always get that question. Like, we can talk about that too after you go through this. I'll ask that question.
Yeah. So we discuss all this situations and everything like that. Once I gather up all their information and find out exactly what they're looking for and where they're looking at, I'll pull up everything. Usually, most of the time, you do like an auto search on the MLS. I actually go in there like manually and do the searches on it because of the situations regarding like pets, bedrooms, all that stuff could be auto search, but I'm more comfortable when I actually pinpoint exactly what I'm looking for. After I do make some matches, I do one of two things. I will either send all the matches to my client, and then if they like any of the searches, the next step, which is probably the most important step, I have to call up the agent and find out what their actual credit requirements are and income requirements. Some of these landlords, they're asking for like 4 times monthly rent, which I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't seen that before. Usually you would be asking for maybe 2 to 3 times monthly rent. So example, if the rent is $2,000, they're asking for 3 times monthly rent. You need to actually show income of at least $6,000 a month. Usually that should be net. Sometimes they'll take gross on it, but take home pay, there is some maneuvering room. I mean, just because they say 2 to 3 times monthly rent, as long as your actual credit and everything is looking good and your landlord verifications check out good, or your whatever is the situation, we should have no problems making exceptions to the rules on that. But once we get all that set, if we do find a place that they will okay everything, then I go back to my clients, we'll set up a showing, we'll look at the property and everything like that, and then we'll submit all the paperwork. So we're looking at application, we're looking at driver's license, ID, we're looking at pay stubs, any kind of verification of self-employment income. If there is self-employment, last 3 bank statements, and any kind of emails or anything that needs to be explained regarding their situation, why they might have been in this problem or anything like that. And most of my clients, they have no problems opening up to me. And, I tell them up front, we need to discuss just everything. So I'm aware, because I don't, a couple of issues I have is that when I get these little surprises that I'm not aware of at all, and it comes up, that becomes more of a problem on our end trying to get things through. So, I tell them, everything's in confidential that we discuss. It's not like, I'm going to make a broadcast of what's going on. So the more you could tell me, the more, we could get this deal done sooner than later. So, yeah, I just feel as long as they're open with me, we have a much better relationship of getting this done sooner than later.
Now, are there some clients that, may have to go, you mentioned a little bit earlier, have to go through several different applications? And do you submit more than one application at a time?
Yes, I do. Yeah, sorry. What I've been doing recently for the last several months, I know this sounds a little crazy, but day one, a house can be listed, it's gone the next hour. So what I do, and just to make this very clear, once we submit applications, we're not under any obligations in proceeding with the actual property because there's nothing signed or anything like that. If they accept our application or information, I'll go back to my client. They have a right to change their mind or say, hey, you know what? We found another property that suits us better. But on a couple of my clients, I've submitted like 4 or 5 applications on different places. And unfortunately, they haven't been accepted because of several different reasons, either because the credit is not as good as the other applicants are. They might have came in with 6 months. Someone might have just sold their house, building a house, and they've got plenty of cash to actually put down on it. So they're going to take someone 6 months out that's going to prepay for that, than having someone that's just paying 1 month security deposit and 1 month up front. So the more you can put down, of course, it's better, but it all depends. A lot of these people that's been through these kind of financial issues, if they're going through a short sale or foreclosure or bankruptcy, they're not going to have tons of cash. They'll be lucky if they have, the 1 month's rent to put down, and they might even have to borrow a security deposit or something from their family. So yeah, I'm not asking for miracles. I'm just trying to get this done as best as I can without requesting to give them more money down on their rent. So that's how all this stuff goes.
It is a lot. I think
Yes.
my biggest advice, again, for homeowners that need to go rent after a short sale or a bankruptcy is, yes, patience is key. And we talked about that, but also communicating with Shaun or whatever rental agent you have, everything. And I always stress this in a short sale situation. I want to know everything that has gone on, that's continuing to go on, because it helps us build the case better with the bank. And in your situation, the more you know, the better you can navigate through and helping them try to find a rental. We don't want any surprises. So just be upfront with your rental agent. Again, they cannot disclose stuff to other people or whatever. It's all in confidence. But again, and I know you talk to our clients about this, this is a temporary situation. And so
Yes.
we just have to get you into something because you have to move out before closing. You don't want to get foreclosed on. So just find something. You may not love it, but guess what?
Yeah.
1 year goes by so quickly that you can come back and rent again with Shaun and find something else. You just need to rebuild your credit. You just have to get back off your feet. What is your biggest advice for homeowners that are out there struggling? I think a lot of the big question I get, Shaun, is how the heck am I going to be able to rent when I have late payments and all that? It is all possible. Again,
Yeah.
I have to stress to homeowners across the country, don't just go in and hire anyone to help you with the situation. It's so
Yeah.
important to have the right professional team around you, a team that understands the ins and outs of a short sale, that has a rental agent on their team that can help you, because it's good to do all of this right here. So any advice for homeowners out there? Or I say homeowners, sellers, eventually they have to rent. So
Yeah, I usually tell them most of the clients I have the first time before they even find an agent, they actually go online and start looking on Zillow and all these other online places. It becomes very difficult with them. I stress to everyone, find yourself a good rental agent. They will be able to do all the legwork for you. They'll be able to
yes,
get the rentals done, and they have more knowledge than you looking online, because some of these other advertising online places are not, they don't update their information. They've had rentals and properties on the market forever, and you need to find a good agent that knows how to get the rentals done, especially in this kind of market for everyone, because this is a tough market and you need to have a professional on your side to help you out with this for sure.
yeah, I agree, Shaun. Such valuable information for anyone across the United States who's maybe struggling. And that is a big question. Am I going to be able to find a rental? Or even agents that have this niche and are inside of the Blueprint community are looking to get in. So much great information, Shaun. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, landlords, just let everyone know, please, landlords, you got to let some of these pets come through your properties. A lot of homeowners and clients, they have pets, either small dogs or big dogs. And, they've also got like emotional support animals, which is very important for them. And you can't decline them because of the, ESA support animals or anything like that. So, yeah, everyone needs to like open up a little bit more regarding their properties on rentals for animals if possible. One of the biggest issues is that one landlord has one bad experience and, it kind of ruins it for everyone else coming down the line on it. So,
yeah, so pets are possible. It's just,
yeah.
I think more landlords are open to it, I think, but there's usually a pet deposit or something extra typically. Is that how that works?
Yeah, they'll ask for monthly pet deposit of maybe anywhere from $25 to $50 extra a month, or they'll ask for a non-refundable or a refundable regular pet security deposit anywhere from like $250 to $500.
Okay.
Which I'm going to be very honest with you, that really is a big issue with me. Either you should charge either the monthly pet deposit or you charge the refundable or the non-refundable deposit. I mean, the problem is some of the landlords are just gouging, potential clients that are good with just gathering up extra month. I mean, if you're going to charge a pet $50 extra a month, I mean, you're going to give them their own room or something like that. I mean, it's like you got to take money easy because a lot of people, they don't have, pets of their own. They're just like kids and just don't have a lot of money to start blowing away $500 for non-refundable pet deposits. So, yeah, just to let everyone know, I mean, just try and take it easy with the pet situation out there. That would help out a lot of clients trying to find places. And just to say that anyone looking for a rental, definitely contact me or contact someone that has, that specializes in dealing with rentals in this market for sure. I mean, I can't stress that enough.
So again, thank you so much, Shaun, for coming on. Just to recap real quick, if you are a homeowner across the United States and you're struggling to make those mortgage payments, you may have equity. And so if you do, we would love to help you pull that equity out. If you don't have equity, then we can possibly give you some more time, maybe get you some relocation assistance in a short sale situation. I cannot stress enough how important it is to have the right professional team surrounding you, someone that really, really understands the ins and outs of short sales. If you are also an agent across the United States and you're looking to get in this niche of distressed sales, we would love to chat with you. It is such a rewarding career, rewarding niche to be in. It's really a win-win scenario for all parties. So I want to thank Shaun again. This is episode 1 of the Short Sale Podcast. We are going to be back with so many more episodes. We're going to be bringing on bankruptcy attorneys across the United States, agents in different states to talk about the short sale process. But if you're looking to connect with us, you can find us on Facebook, Blueprint Short Sales. Feel free to message us there. You can also find all of these episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, or you can find us on YouTube. Just search for Blueprint Short Sales. Thank you for joining us for episode 1 of the Short Sale Podcast, Finding a Rental After Bankruptcy and Short Sale. Shaun, thanks again, and we'll see you again soon. Stay tuned for episode 2. We will be back soon. Thanks, everyone.
You've been listening to the Short Sale Podcast. Heather knows her stuff. She's helped over 1,000 families avoid foreclosure. So if it's short sales, bankruptcy, or distress situations, there's a professional team you can turn to for advice. It's what we do. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, for questions and comments, send an email to info@blueprintshortsales.com. Call us at 224-407-2126 and find us on Facebook at Blueprint Short Sales. Thanks so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on the Short Sale Podcast.